recording.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. You all know who I am. This is my friend, Monir Delaware. He's also a real estate broker in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Monir is a United States veteran. He's been in 20 years in the business. He's married and has 2 children. I consider him my friend. I'm going to start off with asking you some questions, Monir. I'm going to start right here. Let me explain something to you. He currently is not the principal broker, but he was a principal broker with his own company in Woodbridge, Virginia. The name of that was Tri-State Premier Realty, and that's where I first met him. So, Monir, can you tell us about your experience in real estate and how long you've been a broker?
So I've been a broker now going on 15 years. Been in the real estate industry for 20 years. It's been proud to become a broker and be part of that group of guys and gals that kind of help people.
You'd have never met me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You'd have never met me.
I'm glad that we established that brokerage and got a chance to meet someone as special as Kristen Apley. So it's been an honor working with you.
And it's an honor working with you and you taking the time to do this for me. It really is, and that's from my heart.
My pleasure.
Monir, what is your role as a broker?
So currently I'm an associate broker with Samson Properties. Like I said, initially when I got my broker's license was to establish my own firm. It was just something that was always a dream of mine,
And you did it. You did a good job at that.
Yeah, we were really successful. We did really well, and when the time came, we made a transition here to Samson Properties now.
How many agents did you have at Tri-State Premier?
At the peak of our business, I think we were up to 26 agents at one point.
Wow.
So we had a pretty solid group of agents that were all successful. Not all of them were full-time, but we did quite a bit of volume.
I remember working with you. You did a good job as a principal broker. What motivated you to become a broker?
So like I said earlier, it's definitely been something that I've always dreamed of, to own my own real estate company ever since I got into the business. Back in 2005 when I got my broker's license, obviously if you know the time frame, that was quite busy as far as the market, and a lot of agents that were friends of mine had shown interest that if I started a company that they were willing to join. So that was the initial motivation, and as we kind of started the company and learned all the tricks of the trade, we slowly started to have training sessions and sales meetings.
Well, I know you've got involved with investing, and I know you've expanded your business pretty good, more than most real estate agents and real estate brokers that I know. You've come a long way.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's been a fun ride, I guess I could say.
It's exciting. It is exciting. It's a great business.
Sure.
How has being a broker helped you advance your real estate career?
Initially, obviously, establishing the company was a big goal of mine. So as far as a career path, that was something I was very proud of and very excited to do. Towards the latter years of my career, as I've transitioned over to just being an associate broker, I found that, having the title of an actual associate broker, even at least for your clients, they feel like they're in better hands.
I agree. I agree.
They feel that you've gone through extensive training and you do that on a biannual basis as far as even continuing education goes. So I have always felt that when I'm dealing with my regular buyers and sellers, that they feel like at least my knowledge base is probably a little bit above what a normal sales agent might be.
I agree. And that would kind of lead into the next question, what are the challenges you've experienced in being a broker?
I think some of the challenges, especially when we owned the real estate company, was, I would probably say, time management. Our company grew fairly quickly to 26 agents, and obviously reading every contract that came through to make sure there were no mistakes, making sure agents did everything from buyer-broker agreements to listing agreements properly. It was very time-consuming, and me starting a new family at the time, I was probably putting in 12, 14-hour days, and that probably was the most challenging part of it. I don't regret any of it, but it was a good experience, and I learned a lot from that.
Yeah. And you are doing a good job. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
What is the best piece of advice you can give someone who is pursuing a role as a broker? Somebody like me that's pursuing a role.
The best piece of advice, I would probably say, kind of like the old saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected. I've always felt that even as an associate broker, if a fellow agent in the office just comes for advice, I really do put my broker hat on and make sure that I try to answer their question about, let's say, a contract issue or form to the best of my ability, and that if I can't, that I put them in touch with the right people that can answer those questions.
And
So as far as to answer your question, you really want to make sure that you follow fair housing ethics and those guidelines, even more so than you would as an agent. You're almost people are looking up to you for direction, and if you don't know the right information and you mislead them, it can be a domino effect of a lifetime of mistakes that they make, and it kind of falls back on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you've answered quite a few questions for me over the years. I still do. So every now and then I still call you for advice.
I'm happy to answer.
How do you empower your agents, or even people in your office, for success in the marketplace?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure you have a team. I'm sure you got guys working for
I
you
do.
still.
I've got 2 guys that work for me, and we have weekly meetings, and we do talk about market trends quite a bit, and we also talk about anything new when it comes to fair housing or ethics, or that stuff that might new updates from DPOR or something that our managing broker here has made us aware of, contract changes. But yeah, I mean, you want to empower your agents to constantly know where the market is going and what tools to use to be best successful.
Mm-hmm.
And also at the same time, look out for pitfalls. As things progress in different, especially when it comes to fair housing and who's protected and who's not. We're licensed in DC, and obviously a lot of different categories that are protected under fair housing in DC might not be in Virginia. So you've got to know what state you're in and make sure that you follow those guidelines, particularly.
As a matter of fact, I remember calling you when I was working on my DC real estate license, and one of the pieces, the tidbits of advice you gave me, you said, "Chris, just remember, everything is a violation." I still remember that.
Treat everybody fairly. You should do that across the board, but I just feel like in DC specifically, they, with all the different categories that are protected, you've got to really go out of your way to make sure that you're fair to everyone.
Correct. Right. That's part of being in the business. We want to be fair to everybody.
Sure.
What books do you suggest aspiring brokers to read?
That's a good question. A lot of the books that I actually have my team members read really have to do with motivational books. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But as far as the real estate industry, I really do focus quite a bit on the weekly newsletters that come out of DPOR.
Oh, yeah.
I get that feed, and a lot of times you see what other agents have made mistakes. Some of them are quite appalling, but other ones, it really catches you off guard that, that's something that you need to look out for. And I always bring that down to the guys that work under me.
You find that DPOR on the website.
Right. Yeah, you can actually sign up your email, and you'll get an automatic email weekly, depending on what violations that they've assessed and who they, sent out a notice to. You'll get it all.
That's something we all need to do, class, is take Monier's advice. Let's sign up for that DPOR website, put our email in there, and have that sent to us, so we can keep track of what's going on in the industry as far as violations and fair housing and other violations.
Sure.
One last question, Monier, and I'll let you get back to your busy day. How do you ensure your agents, your team, is getting cutting-edge training?
It's a good question. It's the $1 million question, I guess I should say. It's cutting-edge technology, especially with where the industry is going today. It's a fluid moving train. I mean, we have invested quite a bit when it comes to companies like Zillow, and then we find other avenues that we can better spend our advertising money with. But making sure that your agents have the most latest technology, whether that's an app on their phone, and in different methods. Like one of our agents who's new to the industry, she's a young lady that I want to make sure that she knows that some of the apps also provide safety features that she can let her husband know before she goes to a showing if she's going to do that by herself.
That's a big thing in the industry now, safety for real estate
Absolutely.
agents, especially women that are out showing properties on their own.
Sure, and it's for everyone all across the board. They need to be very mindful of safety measures, and so new tools on your phone are very convenient and easy to use. But if you're the managing broker or even an associate broker with the team, I feel like it's your duty to make sure you get that information in their hands, especially if they're new and young agents that are still learning the tricks of the trade.
As you can see, as a broker, Monir takes that leadership initiative for his agents. I mean, he did when I was with him at Tri-State Premier. I remember he'd hold mandatory meetings periodically, and he was always at the ready to help with any time I called. I mean, I'm sure the other agents were treated the same. I think that's it, Monir. I think that wraps up our interview. And I want to thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank you for all the things that you've done for the industry.
My pleasure.
God bless you, man.
Thank you, Chris. Take care, guys.